All right, so here we are back. We're getting into step two, part one. We're still in part one, a new mindset and a new paradigm. Step two, peeling back the curtain on a total mind shift and a new approach. Here's where we take a peek at the new way forward. You'll no longer be limited to trite and useless information when it comes to advancing one of the most important aspects of your life and one that affects the rest of your life, and that is your career. So let's jump right into some of the mental shifts and start etching out this new paradigm of career advancement. New thought pattern number one is becoming proactive and self-reliant. Now, this is in direct contrast to some of the advice that we discussed in the last section. In the last section, we saw advice that suggested that you should use job boards and focus on resumes primarily and essentially just wait to be picked. Now, one of the biggest factors in separating yourself from everyone else is the inclination to not wait for things to happen to you. You are a doer. You make things happen. Things happen if you decide that they will. And that's because you're the one who makes it happen. And this means that you are proactive. You don't wait for interviews. You don't wait for callbacks. You don't passively wait for questions to be asked of you. Passivity goes out the window. You now take control and decide what is going to happen. So instead of being passive and waiting, we are proactive and in control and initiating significant action and preparing the way for good things to happen. One example of taking control is in the interview situation. One of the things you'll be tested on is how to handle curveballs. So what you want to do is take a page out of the politician handbook. What do politicians do when they're asked a difficult question? Well, essentially what they do is they answer the question they wish they were asked. The good ones do this seamlessly so that you hardly notice what they did. And your goal is similar. You have a narrative and a message that must get across. No curveball or unexpected question should get in the way of the delivery of your message. Practice getting really good at being direct and succinct while still sticking to the delivery of your narrative. So that's proactivity. And the second part of this is self-reliance. An increasing trend and tendency is for job seekers to outsource the job search and the career advancement process. Now, you need to really ask yourself if this is something that you can afford to do. Is it really a good idea to put your future in the hands of someone who does not have the primary stake in it? And what am I talking about here? I'm talking about outsourcing and delegating the job search to, on the one hand, recruiters, and on the other hand, computers and software. And this is very common, isn't it? Because the tendency is to get computers to tell us what we're good at by taking tests and inserting standardized answers for standardized questions into software that has been designed to spit back an answer in terms of what you're good at and where you fit. And, basically recruiters perform a similar function. And I'm not trying to bash recruiters, obviously. I am one. That's my career, or it has been in the past. But the fact is that recruiters are concerned with your interests only insofar as it leads to helping them make a placement and get their commission. The only one truly concerned with your future is you. And you will not satisfy your true interests by placing this delicate task into the hands of someone who doesn't truly care about you. Not only that, but they're just not going to go about it the right way. And that's because, of course, recruiters are going to be stuck in that old paradigm, just like everybody else. And lo and behold, they will be trying to keep you firmly within it. And they'll want to keep you as a round peg to continue to fit into their round holes. Little do they know that you'd rather be an iceberg, and that you float like an iceberg too. Most of you is beneath the surface, and you want that part to be expressed in various ways. But you're the only one who knows that, and you have to make it happen. New thought pattern number two, focus on giving and others. The natural tendency of most job seekers is to focus on themselves. Cover letters, for example, tend to use the word I ad nauseum. I am interested in doing this. I am passionate about that. I feel I can contribute because. I think this job will be a good match for me because, etc. Meanwhile, resumes tend to be a chronological account of everything the applicant has ever done, and it tends to be unfocused and ineffective. And that goes along with networking as well. When it actually gets attempted, which is rare, it's again focused on the I and asking for things. I wonder if I can pick your brain. I have a few questions for you. or people reach out for information and they go about it the wrong way by failing to put themselves in the shoes of a busy person who gains probably nothing by helping you. So why would they take time out of their busy schedule just to help a random person who shows very little tact, consideration, and thought behind their approach? So here's the point. Focus on being valuable before focusing on what you can get. Focus on putting together a cohesive and coherent message before just doing a you dump. In other words, dumping everything about you, your life story, etc., on the poor, uninvested, and uninterested contact. Focus on what's relevant. In other words, how you can help the contact or the company you want to work for. And just remember that no one cares about you. It's a harsh reality, but it's a true reality. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's just because you haven't yet given anyone a reason to care. And therefore, your fortunes will change dramatically once you start getting off yourself and instead getting inside the heads of folks in important positions, VIPs, strategic connections, hiring managers, etc. Focus on their pain points and not yours. Focus on their problems and not yours. Because they don't care if this job happens to be really close to home for you and you'll only need to take one bus to get there. Focus on problem resolution, not for you, but for others. Everything you do and all of the marketing materials you put together should revolve around the narrative of how you can solve problem X. New thought pattern number 3. Show, don't tell, your high value telegraphs, HVTs. So here are a few sentences or sentence fragments that may look familiar to you. Good leadership skills, team player, and excellent people management skills. Good communication skills to understand and interpret clients' requirements and provide business value add prospects, which would help in increasing client satisfaction revenue. Okay. These are obviously worded very poorly. I took them off of actual resumes just kind of randomly. Here's another one. Good problem-solving skills analytically using data for the purpose of accurate and confident decision-making. Like I said, I just randomly opened up some resumes and swiped these for examples. And what do all of these have in common? I'll tell you. They are BS. They are meaningless. And because they're BS and meaningless, they're also annoying to hiring managers. And by including them, you are wasting their time. And time is their most precious resource. So by contrast, HVTs show. They don't just tell. They support and prove with stories, examples, facts, and quantifiable evidence. So how do we reword the line about leadership as an example? And you remember it, good leadership skills, team player, and excellent people management skills. Now, before we get too far into this, I'm going to be saying, I should say that we're going to be talking much more about this in part 4 of the course, where we discuss resumes in depth. But for now, let's briefly consider how we can reword just this line and make it more HVT, high value telegraph focused. Led project implementation teams of 7 to 15 with budgets of $5 million plus. As you can see here, this is concise, specific, quantitative, and credible. And later, we'll also discuss how to develop marketing bullet points that demonstrate results and credibility. So all of these are HVTs, and let's consider what these are more deeply. You see, certain value triggers or telegraphs are similar to those we find all the time in the dating world. So in many ways, the dating world and the job search world are parallel universes. And many of the principles that make you successful in one are also going to make you successful in the other. So let's consider some of these. Here are some HVTs. Showcasing social proof, telegraphing that you have options, being in no hurry to make a commitment until you are sure the fit is right, demonstrating credibility and results, not getting fazed by unexpected tests, and sticking to the message in the face of a curveball, smiling and having good energy, professional and appropriate body language, maturity, not getting hung up on money, knowing that it will come, not being fixated on outcomes, and just being confident in a system, and showing that you have eliminated mental barriers, subconscious negatives, assumptive myths, and limiting beliefs and performance. So let's consider exactly what these limiting beliefs and mental barriers are that are holding you back. We're going to break them down in the next section.